Welcome to Monday Night and the Simpademic. This is Jason coming at you here. One of my, I believe it's a commenter that is somebody who is associated with my harasser and stalker, but they've posted all kinds of, I don't know how to call them. I would even call them insulting. They're just kind of troll posts. And what has happened here is, so one of them asked a question that I actually feel the need to kind of address because I think there may be more than one person asking it. And that question is, what do you do about an emotional crush of yours who, for whatever reason, you're just obsessed with, and you feel like, you want to do everything you can to get them, but at the same time, you don't want to become a simp or get the simp label. The best place I can start with this is a definition of what a simp actually is. Simp, for those who don't know, is short for simpleton, which means that it's just, a very simple, no filtered guys who are just, very basic in how they view women. And so simping on somebody, a woman, is like constantly groveling and constantly begging for their attention. And usually a simp doesn't get anything back, except in a few cases, which I think I've discussed before on the channel. But at the same time, how do you keep this situation from becoming simpy? Well, I think it's very obvious in this particular case. You need to deprioritize women in general. And if you deprioritize them, then your desire to get them goes down, or maybe even disappears entirely. I have a couple of, Twitter X crushes of my own, and but they live out of state. They both live in Texas, to be specific, and one is a teacher, and then the other one is a petroleum industry expert with a horse ranch. These are both, single women, and they're very attractive. I'm not going to lie. A lot of people out there have told them so directly on the platform. And yeah, I like them a lot. I interact with them on regularly, close to daily. And yet at the same time, I think they're very attractive, very physically beautiful women, but at the same time, it's not my priority. And it turns out, being in the case of one of them, it's not their priority either. And I think, the fact that I'm okay with that and she's okay with that too, we have a commonality as far as politics is concerned. And I have watched some of her podcasts, and I've found them very, very entertaining and very, very agreeable to me. And that's a point of conversation where I'm not looking at the physical beauty of her at all. I'm looking at what she's doing and what she's producing in social media, and usually agreeing with her, not always, but usually. So that is how you don't get to the simp spot, is because if you're not prioritizing, as a man, if you're not prioritizing women in your life, and if you're not considering it all important or all consuming, you're naturally not going to cross that border. And so that is how I would address that, just with the basic definition of what a simp is and what kind of barrier you can put up. And that barrier is to not obsess over women, or to really to deprioritize them in general. My biggest priorities right now are A, my relationship with God, and B, my daughter, who's 19 years old, lives with her mother, and C, my job, my career. Those are my priorities right now. And if a woman happens to come along that can enhance my life, awesome. You know, if God decides that that's what he wants for me, I'm not going to argue with him. I'm going to thank him and I'm going to praise him for it. But at the same time, if not, that's okay too, because I have a peaceful, calm life. I get to work from home every other week these days because we're on a hybrid schedule, and it's nice and quiet. I live in an exurb about 30 miles from the Twin Cities. It's been mentioned before, you know, and I'm far from the city, and I get a quiet life, and I don't have anybody else to worry about or take care of here, or nobody coming after me for certain needs or anything like that. The only person I have to take care of really is me. And it's it's kind of a charmed life if you want me to piece it together. And so I'm not going to be a simp because I don't really need a woman. And I've made that very obvious several times. If you don't need a woman, well, actually what happens in that case a lot of times is a lot of men who determine they don't need a woman usually will wind up attracting them. And I will also say that emotional control and sexual control can be very sexy things. You know, a man who has those things can be very attractive. And so that's going to be the answer to that question as far as, you know, how do you take an emotional crush and not become simpy over it? Well, deprioritize women. Just don't make that the most important thing. Be in my case and just, you know, gladly accept it if it comes along. But at the same time, if I live my entire life by myself, I'm content with that too. So anyway, this is Jason signing off, and the Simpademic Monday night edition, and I will be back tomorrow night. And if anybody puts a comment in my video again, I might address that too. So that's it. We'll be talking to you tomorrow.